are you?
I am doing well. You look lovely, darling.
Thank you.
You
It's
are,
kind of cold over here, so I
you're,
figured I'd get a scarf on and everything.
you're rocking that green. You look like the queen of the fairies.
Oh, thank you. I'm trying to be one with nature.
There you go. Hi, folks. Welcome to another episode of Chillin with Adam. Who is Adam? Adam Hamel is my 27-year-old son who transitioned as a result of injuries sustained in a car accident in January 2011. Adam was an organ donor. He started communicating with me while his body was still on life support, and he has been communicating with me ever since. Today, I am really excited to say hello to Adam and his guest. Hi, Adam. I love you.
Hi, Mama. I love you too. He's saying, hello, everyone. I love you guys too. He seems very excited today.
I bet he is. You want to share with us who you brought with you today?
He says, well, Mama, I brought somebody who I really admire as a musician. He says, as a fellow musician,
Yeah.
um, a man who inspired everyone to be true to themselves, to be your true individual self, and who had so much artistic magic
Oh,
inside of him that he was one of the best musicians of of our lifetime, and
yeah.
that is Prince.
Welcome. 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 I am so excited. I mean, this guy had huge talent, so creative. We are so honored that you chose to come forward and share with us today.
He says, "Thank you for having me." He says he's been jamming with your son. Just does Adam play guitar? Because he's showing both of them playing the guitar together.
Now, see, this is interesting. In this lifetime, Adam did not. I played the guitar, and I always wished that one of my
Okay.
sons would play with me. Adam played the keyboard in this life, but he played the guitar in a previous lifetime, or should I say a parallel life.
Oh, okay. You're right. That's Bobby on Chopin,
There
right?
you go, yes.
He played the guitar. Right, right. Because he's just showing me that they're kind of jamming together. Adam says that Prince is great at going away from what is rehearsed and just jamming it out, just having fun with it and seeing what it brought out. And he said he would do that during his shows as well. A
Yeah.
lot of it was pre-planned, but he would do shows in very intimate kind of settings and very small uh, arenas
Uh-huh.
where they would just jam on it, and everybody, all the musicians that played with him, they would just jam together and figure it out as they went. So
How
doing that as an
fun.
artist, Adam says, is it's riskful because you know uh, is it going to work? Are you guys going to be able to pick up on each other's vibe? But he did it with so much conviction that that's a true artist. That's really somebody who has music in his veins and who lives and
Absolutely.
breathes it. It's incredible. And Prince is he's kind of he feels kind of shy. His
Aw.
energy um, feels very shy and very kind of withdrawn, but I can see his face is lighting up, and I can see that he really enjoyed um, just jamming. And Prince is saying, music was my expression of life. Music was my expression of my own identity, and I try to keep my private life as private as possible, which is not an easy thing to do, he says. But people knew me through my music, and they knew me, as a very sexual being. They knew me as a very confronting person. Um, but a lot of my songs were about truth and were about what I felt in those moments. And, music just flowed out of me. I remember writing my first song when I was only 7 years old.
Wow.
And just jamming on the piano, I would just start making up songs. Writing songs was so easy for me, and it just came naturally out of me that I truly believed, and I know now that that is truth, that God was talking through me, that source was talking through me. And I grew up in a religious family. I grew up in a poor family. Um, so God was always there, was always present. And as I evolved and grew up, he says, my religious beliefs would change, but the belief that there's something bigger out there who is communicating to everyone on this planet through everyone was always kind of my rock, what I would hold on to, what made me feel solid and grounded
Hmm.
in my being as Prince. So it's always very important, I believe, to, and I'd like to think that I pass that message on to other artists and to other beings, is that being your true self, um, despite what other people might think, what other people might judge you for, um, being your authentic self is the easiest thing you can do. But we create it in a human form as one of the hardest things to do because we allow other people to tell us who to be, what to do, what to think, what to feel. But truly, if we let go of all of that, if we let go of the restrictions that everything and everyone outside of us put upon ourselves, then life can be very easy. Life can be um, comfortable for you because you'll be who you are, you'll be who you want to be, and you'll be who you were meant to be. And when we get to that point, for me, being true to myself, not allowing anyone to take my own identity away from me, was one of the key factors in this life's journey. He says, I started very early with music, and I got a record label to sign me up when I was only 17. So I went into the professional music industry really, really, really early. And from the beginning, people were trying to manipulate me and say, "Hey, maybe you should ask this person to help you," and I always said no, no, no. This is my thing, and I'm going to do it my way. It didn't matter, and I think that shocked him a little bit. That a little boy, 17 years old, and little, yes, I was little, he said, um, who had never made a record, who had never recorded anything professionally, just stood up and said, "No, I'm going to do this my way, and I'm going to do it this way, or I'm not going to do it at all."
Good for
I think that
you.
really shocked him. That was not something that was not something that they usually see. Usually that comes with experience and later on when
Hmm.
artists are famous, and they get used to how it goes, then the confidence usually comes out. But for me, I had that from a very early age. Now, I think I was always kind of a fighter from the beginning because, I had if you look at how I was raised, my dad was very strict. He was very strict and he was very controlling. He was physically abusive.
Oh.
And I tried for years um, to please him and to make him proud of me. And when you're a child, you just want your parents to be proud of you and to support you in what you're doing. And when I was really little, I already knew I was going to be a musician, and I did get the support to go into the music industry. That I did get because both my mom and my dad were in the music industry. Um, but I never got the recognition as an individual who I was besides the music. And I think that caused me to become a fighter for people to see me as me. Um, so in a way, I'm very grateful for the harshness that I was raised in. Um, my parents eventually divorced. He says when he was around 10, and my mom got remarried, and I lived with my dad at first. Um, but I always had a thing for the ladies. Like I said, I was a very sexual being, and one day my dad caught me with a girl in bed and he kicked me out. I was 12 years old.
Oh my.
Uh, yes. So, he says, so yeah, my dad wasn't very happy with that. He kicked me out. And I tried to go back and I tried to apologize and, tell him how sorry I was, that I disrespected him and so on. But he wouldn't want to hear it. And so I went to mom and I lived with mom for a little bit. But the person, my stepfather, I did not get along with. So I didn't stay there very long either. So I eventually ended up living in the basement of a neighbor's family.
Wow.
Broke, broke, very young, and I had to find a way to kind of, to survive, and music was my way of doing that. And I had, let's just say that music was just part of my DNA. I had an act for playing instruments. I picked up on it very quickly. I taught myself a lot of things, and I would play over a dozen instruments. I would play them all basically. And so when we started playing gigs, the son of the family that I was staying with in the basement and I became friends. And so we started making music together and we did some gigs here and there uh, just to make a little bit of money. But I eventually recorded a song that I had put on a demo, and I had done all of the instruments myself and then had put it all together. And so when I gave when I send in the demo, the person who was listening to it thought, "Wow, this is a great band. Who's the band? Who's the guy who does the guitar?" And when they found out that I was the whole band, of course, that immediately convinced them to give me that record deal. And so that's how everything started for me. So I have to say though, I never had any doubt that I was going to be a musician and that I was going to become famous. It was it was like a knowing. It was something I've had inside of me since I was tiny, tiny, tiny. There was there was this knowing that I was supposed to bring forth music to people and really influence them in a way to promote self-love and to promote being human and so much more. So the thing was, I always, and I think not a lot of people know this, but I've always been very connected to spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I never really said much of that, but I did hear voices talking to me in my mind. Not like a schizophrenic, they weren't different voices, they were mostly my own voice, but they would tell me things that I didn't know. And so that made me aware that for me, angels were talking to me. That's how I saw it. Angels
Mm-hmm.
were talking to me and they were helping me and guiding me. And, I never much revealed that to anyone because I didn't want people to kind of label me in a specific way, at least not the people that I love, the
Mm-hmm.
people that really mattered in my life. So I just saw it as God's way of talking to me. And there was at one point when I was little that I did see one of my guardian angels who told me, because I was born into this world with I had epileptic seizures for
No.
a long time, and yeah, my mom and dad did what they could, but they were not very wealthy, and so we didn't really have a lot of support medically to help me with that, and I had a dream, and in that dream one of my angels came to me and said that I wasn't going to be sick anymore, that was done, and that I was going to be okay. And so the next day I went to mom and I told her that an angel told me, no more sickness for me, we're done. And I never had a seizure after that again. So as a very young child, I knew that God listens, and I had been praying to get better because I thought that the stress of me being sick was what was causing the friction between my parents.
Oh.
Of course, that wasn't it, but as a child, you're looking for a way to explain why there's so much problems in your family, why there's so much struggle between mom and dad. Um, and so that just empowered me even more to believe in God and I knew that whatever was good for me and whatever I needed, God was going to provide for that. So I went into the music industry with so much confidence because of my belief in God, in Source, that there was something bigger out there that was guiding me, that I never had a fearful, doubtful moment in everything that I did. And although the record sales at first didn't go as planned and they weren't, as big as the record label had hoped. For me, I didn't see a problem. They saw a problem. I didn't see a problem. This was all part of the journey, and I understood that, and so eventually the success did start coming. People started to really get adjusted to kind of a very unique way of performing. And although they tried to tune me in and change me, I never allowed them to. And the more they tried to change me, the more extravagant I went. So that was my revenge in some way. If you keep hassling me about this, I'm going to go naked next time. That was kind of my thing. And I would have.
I
I would
bet you
have.
would have.
Okay. I've been on stage in just my underwear, so why not? And so eventually, they kind of let me be and let me do my thing, and so slowly this Prince kind of personality just started developing, and it was such a great adventure because I was not just allowed to be creative with music, but I was allowed to be creative with my own persona, with my own individual being. And so I loved experimenting with clothes, and I loved being creative with makeup and dancing and videos. And it was such a creative process. My whole life was really about releasing this creativity and this energy of manifestation that it really was a joy to be. Now, I loved women very much, and I loved my wives very much. But when you go through the loss of two children, you something inside of you breaks. There is he says with my wife, his first wife, he's giving me one. With his first wife, um, they were very in tune with one another. Although he says I was kind of a control freak. What I say went, unfortunately. But that was really my way of empowering myself to um, to stay ahead of the game in life, to really stay ahead and to um, continue to create my own reality. So, but I love them with all my heart, you know, and they would follow me in my journey because they loved me just the same, despite my little controlling issues. Um, but yeah, we had a son who only lived for about a week. Um, and when he passed away, I always wanted to be a father, and my world kind of came down,
Wow, I'm so
and so
sorry.
did her world. We both lost someone that we loved so much, and that we only had the privilege to know for such a short amount of time that it it left an emptiness inside of me. And although I felt that he was around, that his spirit was with God, and that he was seeing us and talking to us, um, there's still a sadness and a grieving process you have to go through that never really goes away. And so for a while there, I kind of denied myself to grieve. I denied myself to uh, to it's like he says he tried to deny the fact that he was gone, that he was that the body had deceased, and tried to keep. It's like he was pretending in some way that he was okay, that he was still alive. It's like he wouldn't allow himself to validate that the death had occurred. I don't know if that makes sense, but and so his wife, he says, my wife experienced that grieving completely different, you know. And so there was a little bit of a separation between us, but she kept supporting me, and I tried to support her as much as I could. And so when we tried again to have another baby and she had a miscarriage, uh, everything just collapsed after that. And so we eventually ended up separating from one another. We continued to love each other. We continued to support each other, but the pain was just too great for us to continue to stay together. And the way that we were grieving was too different. We couldn't relate to each other in the grieving process. And when that happens, it just, there's a canyon that's being shaped between you two. And so eventually we decided to separate. When that happened, I was truly devastated, and I um, started really focusing on religion, kind of hold on to purpose and to meaning of these deaths and the separation. And my religion started changing again. I went to being a Jehovah Witness. Um, and that was all part of trying desperately to hold on to something to
Mhm.
keep me going. And so over time, let's just say that painkillers were becoming a problem for me. I never did drugs. I never did alcohol. But I was prescribed certain painkillers to kind of help me, he says, physically, because the grieving, uh, he says it changed his body. It affected his body
Mm.
in a negative way. He became ill a lot. Um, he became weaker. He became thinner. And so he was on pain medication to help him with like different different problems, he said. Um, and although the people that I loved, they never saw that it was a problem because I wouldn't let it, I wasn't like a drug addict, where people could see, oh my God, he's not himself.
Mhm.
I would make sure that I was okay and that it didn't affect the people that I was with or my work. I was too perfectionistic for that. I was not going to allow anything to affect my work. Um, but it did become a problem. And so with the new religion also came denial of or refusal of certain treatments that I
Mm.
needed to become better. And so that didn't help my body either. um, he says, laughing, he's like, if only I knew then what I know now, I would have taken a little bit better care of my body.
Can I ask you a
But, I was,
question?
yeah.
Was part of the reason that your body was experiencing such physical pain the fact that grief was trapped in you, that you did not process it, that it was in your body still?
Yes, it was undealt trauma,
Yeah.
and also trauma from past events that I never fully processed. I was so focused on the future that the past was never fully, that negative energy was never fully neutralized, and the grief was something that was so hard for me to deal with
Wow.
um, that, you just kind of leap onto work to try and get away from everything, and it
Yeah.
just poisons you from the
Yeah.
inside. It
Yeah.
really is, um, if when we look at the world now, there's a reason why there's so much cancer out there is because people no longer express what they're going through because they don't want to be considered weak, or they get punished um, for being sad or for going through a grieving process too long.
Yeah.
Your work will punish you when you're staying home too long because you're going through depression, and so a lot of people just build up and build up and build up and try to kind of force it down, try not to think about it, but that truly poisons your body. And for me, it was the same way. It was just I was poisoning myself on the inside. Um, Covering it up with work, hiding under that mask of, yeah, if I keep going, I'll be fine. Just got to keep going. Um,
Thanks for sharing that. I think
and
that
so
will help.
unfortunately, he says, yeah, unfortunately, that did cause my death, and don't get me wrong, he says, I was a very healthy person. I was a vegan, but being a vegan also kind of makes you a little bit weaker because you don't get the iron intake that you need,
Ah.
and it can change, your body structure on the inside. Not that it's bad, but because I was also refusing certain treatments that needed to be done, that didn't help my body, unfortunately. But yeah, otherwise, I was a very healthy person. But you know what the thing is, he says, despite the grieving and everything else, and despite the success, I remember couple of months before my death getting this insight, this idea. And I got the idea in my head that I had done everything I wanted to do.
Mm.
I had done everything I wanted to
Mm.
do. And so I had this feeling that my mission on earth was done, that I came here to do what I was supposed to do, and now I was just kind of hanging out, trying to, um, that was the feeling that I got, and the kind of the mindset that I started getting, And so I think I already knew that I didn't have much longer to go after that. And what I did after that was really just try to enjoy um, life as much as I could, and despite the fact that I was sick, I would still perform and give everything I had. I wanted people, in my concerts, when looked at me, I wanted them to know that I gave it everything that I had. I didn't want just to be an artist who just goes, here's my hour, have fun, bye. I
Yeah.
mean, when people would
Yeah.
ask for an encore, I would come back 4 or 5 times, because I just
Gosh.
couldn't say no to them. And my concerts, instead of having it an hour or an hour and a half, it'd sometimes be 3 hours in a row. And that is something that no other artist ever, would do. But that's what I would do. I mean, sometimes we stay jamming 4 hours in a row, and we gave everything we had, because that's why I was here, and that's when I was on stage, I felt good. I felt happy. I felt like I was doing what God intended me to do. And so I followed that like a religion, that was my path, that was my goal. And so I followed that to the fullest. But yeah, it was a great life. And, I loved playing basketball. And I was really upset when they wouldn't allow me to play in high school
More.
because I was too
More.
short.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was too short. But you know what? I always loved playing it. And, I had a great Michael Jordan, he says, was one of my that I looked up to, one of the people that I really looked up to because he had so much stamina, and he's also an inspiration to so many people because whether he got injured or hurt, he would continue to play and give it his all, and so I really looked up to people like that because it was my ambition to do the same, to give it my all, to stay true to who I was, and to just um, spread joy and fun and openness to the people. Um, I think what everybody in this world should try to accomplish. So many people are like, "What am I here to do? What am I supposed to go?"
Yeah.
Or what's my path? Says it's really not hard. It is so simple. Your only goal in your lifetime is to be you and to just follow what you want to do. That's it, people. It's not hard. We make it hard because we don't trust ourselves and we don't
Yeah.
believe ourselves, or we allow other people to tell us what to do, how to feel, who to be. And so my message to all of you, he says, is be you. Just be you. That's it. Don't make it complicated. If we all just be who we are and we feel the freedom to express ourselves in the way that we want to express ourselves, then this world would blossom and this world would create compassion and acceptance and growth and expansion, because we would support each other to
Hmm.
be who we are, and we would feel a lot better. You know why? Because we would all be so different that it
Mm-hmm.
would be a joy to discover each other.
Yeah.
Now we're all trying to be like everyone else. We're all trying to be, like the people we see on TV, or the people that they say we are supposed to be. And so everybody becomes a shadow of everyone else. And eventually those shadows, if you look at people now, half of the people don't say hello, they don't look up, they don't even aren't even aware that you're there,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just because we've become shadows of who we are. We're no longer that vibrant light that passes by. When a
Mm-hmm.
person walks by you and he catches your attention, that person, I can guarantee you, is being exactly who he wants to be, is shining that positivity out. And
Mm-hmm.
that catches our eye because that's what we all want to be. And so look around you and look at yourself and just ask yourself who you want to be, and then just be that. That's life. Don't make it hard. Just follow who you're supposed to be and go for it, and don't let anybody stop you in accomplishing the discovery of your own authenticity and individuality, he says. So that's what I wanted to pass on to everybody out there.
What a great piece of advice. When you watch a 4-year-old child, they're never self-conscious. I love that age. You look and they could be standing in line in the store with their mom or wherever they are. They may have a superhero cape on and bunny slippers. You can tell. I mean, I absolutely adore that. When I see a parent take a child out in public and you know that they just let the kid wear whatever the child wanted to, and they're talking to themselves and they're humming and they're dancing and they're doing whatever they want, and nobody thinks anything of it. What kind of an amazing world would this be if we all could just fly our freak flags and be who we are as though we were 4 years old and not give a flying what anybody else thought?
Exactly, he says. And those children immediately pick your attention. Boom, you see them
Oh,
right
I
away.
love
Why?
them.
Because they're themselves, they're unique,
Absolutely.
and they're full of energy and full of light. And then you sometimes have parents that are like, shut up, be quiet, stand still, go in,
Right,
you have those parents that are limiting their children, and it's kind of sad to see that they are already
right,
being brainwashed to be just another number, in the ant pile.
right,
um, so be yourself, stimulate your children to stay true to their own being. Even if school tries to restrict them, you stand up for your children and you say, hey, they are just trying to express themselves in their own unique way, and there is nothing wrong with that. Stand up for your children, stand up for yourself, because so many people are hurting because they're either in a relationship that is controlling, that is telling
mm-hmm,
them how to feel and think, or they're surrounded by family members or friends or even colleagues who say, hey, when you're like that, when you're yourself, that's not right. You shouldn't do that, or you
right.
shouldn't be like this, you shouldn't be like that. Never allow anyone, not a spouse, not a family member, not a friend, not a colleague, not yourself, convince you that you need to be anybody else but yourself. And just go for that. And the world would be a lot happier place if we were all allowed to just express ourselves freely and without judgment.
I love that.
He is saying that he would advise teachers to see the uniqueness in every student, because he says, do not see them just as a student, but see them as a unique being of light who
Right.
came down here with the ability to to participate in the whole, but also with the need and the desire to learn individually very unique lessons. And so if you can see every student as an individual being of light, that is going to not only provide you with specific lessons as a teacher, but that's also going to, express itself in its own unique way, then you're it becomes a discovery, he says. It becomes kind of an adventure to figure
Right.
out every individual,
Yes.
and that's how you have to see it. It's an adventure, it's a discovery, it's a little treasure hunt to see what makes that individual student shine, and how can you provide him with the tools to use those tools that he has naturally, and bring the best out of him. If we would all do that, and really focus our teaching schedule into discovering first who are these individuals, what are their strengths, and then using those strengths to apply to the teachings that you're trying to provide, we would have a lot more um, grounded, stronger individuals who will be stronger in their future as adults, because they will have figured out who they are, they will understand themselves, and they'll also have the strength to stand up for what they believe in. And so we would have a lot stronger community if we just focus on each other's individuality.
I love that.
He was so much about being true to yourself. And I think you can see that in his videos. They were all
Hmm.
different. And he would shock people. And I like that about an artist, because um,
Yeah.
sometimes we need that shock effect to say, oh, well, if he's allowed to be that free, then maybe I'm allowed to be that free. It creates a feeling of, well, we can all be as free as he can be. So at least that's my personal kind of experience. I remember, I mean, when his videos first came out, that was like the beginning of MTV.
Huh?
People were like, "Oh my God!" When you look at back at it now, it's like, that's normal. you know, we change, and we evolve, and we're
Yeah.
no longer shocked. But somebody needs to be the first one.
Yep.
Somebody needs to be the one who says, boom, I'm going to do this, and you're all going to be shocked, and eventually it's going to help us, become less prude and become more open. And he made sexuality, I think, accessible and okay as well. There were other artists out there who were doing the same thing, but if you listen to some of his songs, they're pretty sexual. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. So um, I think because he came from, I think, the 70s. Let me check with him. He started in 79. Okay. I wasn't born then. I was born in 81. So, but I think the 70s was a big change.
Hmm.
You might have remembered, but
I was
it
there.
was a big change.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I think sexual revolution was part of that era, wasn't it? Was part of, hey, it's okay, and it shouldn't be taboo, and so I think he played a big part in making it okay on television, and making it okay to talk about as well. But yeah, he had some great songs. I really like Prince. I like individuals who are unique. I have a thing for people who are unique and who are not afraid to express themselves in their own unique way. So people like that always deserve my respect. Um, that's just me personally.
I'm
Adam's
right
going,
there with you,
go.
sister.
Adam's going, go ahead. People get to know your personal things. Yeah, well.
Well,
So yeah, I
if
like
you
his
did not feel that
individuality.
way, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing. And for that, I'm
I think he's
extremely
inspired.
grateful.
I get inspired by people. And, I used to be terrified of people when I was younger. I was so scared. I couldn't even, go to a store and ask for a loaf of bread, or I couldn't pick up the phone. I was terrified of people. I
Mm-hmm.
loved animals. I felt they were safe. I didn't trust people, and I was so scared of them. And um, now I get so inspired by all these great people that we're interviewing, but also by the people that I interview personally, those personal readings. Every person really is a hero in their life, and they are so strong, but they just don't see it.
Yeah.
All they see and all they focus on is what's going wrong in their life, and their weaknesses, or at least what they consider weak. And then I talk to their spirits, and their spirits are going, no, 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 look at it from this point of view. You did this, and this, and this. Hello. You're brave, you're courageous, you haven't given up, you're still looking for answers, you keep going. And so really, people inspire me now in all different ways, and it's so great that we can have these conversations with Prince and George,
Yeah.
and Princess Diana. I thought Princess Diana was a very inspiring person as well, and it's just so awesome that they're sharing that with us.
I love that what you said about people being the heroes of their own lives.
They really are. I think, and Adam will agree on that. He's shaking his head, yes. um,
Yep.
we just have to start looking at ourselves and our lives in this moment from a different perspective. It's just about switching perspectives and seeing and appreciating and loving uh, the good and the bad that we
Right.
go through, because we need bad as much as we need the good. We need it to create contrast and to create um, the strength, I guess, to make different decisions and to go in a different direction. And sometimes going in that deepest, darkest hole is the only way to make the changes. And Prince just added, um, he's just saying, pushing yourself uh, out of your comfort zone
Mm-hmm.
is the only way you truly get to know yourself, he says. And I would do that constantly. And so, for everyone out there who's listening and who's watching, um, if you feel stuck and if you feel like, you're just kind of surviving, um, I would advise you to step out of the comfort zone and to go and do things that you've never even thought of doing, whether it is taking a free beginner's class of salsa dancing, or whether it is,
Oh, yeah.
jumping out of an airplane, with a parachute, whatever it is. As a human being, we need to constantly feel that we're experiencing things. And when the experiences stop and we just go on autopilot every day, all day, for years and
Mm-hmm.
years, you're not
Mm-hmm.
living. You're not
Right.
living. You're just surviving. And push yourself to the limit. Go and explore the world. Despite what your financial situation is, there is always a way. There are people who just drive their car, just keep going with a tent, and they'll travel the
Yeah.
world that way. Um, but there's always a way to push yourself to the limits and to change things in your path, because when people are fed up with their life and they decide to take a chance and a risk, or to just take off and see where life takes them, they're going to experience so many great encounters and experiences and adventures on that path,
Mm-hmm.
that they're going to figure out who they are, and eventually they're going to get the inside of where they're supposed to be going, what they want to do. And so um, pushing yourself out of your comfort zone brings clarity to what you want, who you are, what you want to experience. And it'll create a sensation of living. You're experiencing things. And so push yourself, he says, push yourself out of that comfort zone and into the unknown. And yes, it could be fearful, but it's from excitement of not knowing what's going to happen. So just see your whole life as one big adventure and live it as such. He says, live it as such.
I love that. We
One
are
big adventure.
spiritual beings having a human adventure. We're here for the adventure, folks. That's why we came.
Adam says you can't go wrong anyway because we all end up home, happy ever after.
That's right.
You might as well go out and be the Cindiana Jones of today.
I love it.
Well, you're a pretty adventurous person, I think. You're also a person who likes to explore new things.
That's true. That's true. Absolutely. You just reminded me that it's been way too long since I've been scuba diving.
Oh, there you go. Adam says he liked to experiment with things as well because it gave him something new to look forward to every time, he says. And so don't be afraid to have dreams and wishes. Make a list of what you want to do and just try, just go for it. Whenever you have the opportunity, you just go. Don't look back. Don't think about, the finances or this or that. You get a chance, you go, because that happiness and that joy that event is going to create, will come back in twofold. So, positive thinking, positive emotions are a lot stronger than the negative emotions because so many people are afraid that, oh, yes, we're trying to think positive, but then the negative thoughts come in and then they think, oh, shit, I just fucked myself.
Mm.
There went the negative thoughts again. Oh, darn it. All of my positive thinking just went out the drain. No, he says, no, 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 no. Because your positive thinking, your positive feelings, are so much stronger and more powerful than the negative ones. So if you do go back and you kind of go, back into the negative, just catch yourself and say, nope, ain't going to happen. And just refocus to the positive, he says, and it will be like nothing ever happened.
That's true. That is so true. Fake it till you make it. Or as we decided we were going to say from now on, fake it like Freddie.
There you go.
Referring to our dear friend Freddie Mercury.
That's how it is, and we call it faking it, Adam says, but truly, this whole life is fake. Okay, you're.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, he says. I hate to tell you, but this life you're leading is fake. It is a creation of your conscious mind, and it's constantly evolving and changing and growing according to your energy. So when we call it faking it, well, everything's fake in this journey, but by faking it, you create it in your reality.
Absolutely.
Because you're making that true.
It's just another word for manifesting. Because think about it. When you're pretending, make believe, you're creating the pictures in your mind of what you want, and you literally are creating. You are manifesting, even if you think you're faking it. It's just a Jedi mind trick. Sometimes if you feel like maybe I'm not happy enough to do that, so I'm going to fake it. But what happens is if you smile and you pretend to be happy, you're going to forget pretty soon that you didn't start out that way. That it all started out in, thinking that you're faking it. You actually end up being happy.
Exactly, he says, exactly. And as long as you find a way to let go of the fear of not accomplishing what you want to accomplish, fear is the biggest break that we have. Because people will be excited and they try to be positive and they try to have their goal in front of them, right? And so they're pushing with one foot on the gas. They want to go. But at the same time, the fear is there that what if? And what if I don't make it? And what if I can't do it? And what if I'm not good enough? And so at the same time, they're pushing the gas and the brake paddle. And so they're not going anywhere when that happens.
Right.
So go of that fear and replace it with the belief, he says, that you're the creator. Just you, nobody else.
Right.
You're the creator, and you need to own that power and embrace that power, own that power, make it part of who you are. And then you have individuals who do that, and who can manifest whatever they want. And the biggest example we have right now is President Trump. He owns that belief that he's the creator. And so he created something, despite how many people said, no, no, no. He said, nah, I'm president.
He
There's
certainly
no
did.
doubt, no fear attached to it. And so he manifests everything he wants. And there's so many other very wealthy, very powerful beings out there who do the same thing. They understand the power of manifestation. And so all fear gets released and they can create whatever they want into their reality, and they do so very successfully. So release the fear that's been introduced into us from from being a small child. It's they introduce it into us. Society does, school does, so they could control us.
Of
And so
course.
when you identify with the idea that you were never born with fear, when you identify with the idea that fear was a program that was put into your mind,
To control you.
to control you, then you can also release it and give it back to the people it belongs to, and really start reconnecting with your true self, which is a fearless, immortal, powerful being of light. When we reconnect with that image, then you will see that your reality will change really quickly and in a very positive way because you choose to do so. Now, some people will say, okay, well, if we can manifest everything in a specific way, what about the lessons? What about some of the darker lessons like grieving or or feeling depressed? Some of those are according to a contract. um, well, my answer to that is that um, how we respond to those lessons is completely up to us.
That's
So
right.
we can still feel sorrow, for instance, or grieving or depression, but we can choose to overcome that, and we can choose to see it as a great, powerful lesson. And so those lessons no longer become negative and no longer become heavy, but become inspiring and give us the power to overcome them, with all the love that we have, and say, okay, I've experienced it now. Okay, I'm good. Let's move on to a positive thing. It's about how you choose to experience the lessons, and because of your manifestation abilities, he says, you can experience the same lessons in a very positive way instead of in a very negative, dark way. So again,
Absolutely.
you choose and manifest your feelings and your experiences. And yes, the lessons will still come, but how they come and in what light that they come is influenced by how you feel and what you project out.
That
Does
makes
that make sense? He says.
absolute sense. Yes. We can't always control what happens to us, but we can control how we react to it. And a lot of these master
Exactly.
manifestors, they know. Well, first of all, they were not successful on the first attempt. It's a matter of doing something, and if it doesn't work out the way that you planned, you do it again and you do it again. You don't label it as a failure. Forget, just wipe the word failure out of your vocabulary. Just think of the result of what you do as an outcome, right? It's simply an outcome, and if you didn't like that one, then it provided you with the feedback that you need to tweak it and try again. And then you're going to get what you want.
Very true, he says. Very well put, Mom. He's proud of you. I'm so proud of you, Mom.
Well, thank you.
He's just saying, Adam's saying, I love you so much.
Oh, that was for me. Thank you, Adam.
Yeah. He's saying every time you cuddle my bear me, he calls it my bear me.
Oh,
I'm actually in the bear feeling you, he says. I go inside.
oh, I love that.
He's just sending everybody love and light. He's saying we're gonna close off. I'm gonna hang out with Prince some more. Prince is saying thank you. He's going like this. He's saying thank you, Cindy, to give me the opportunity in the plateau to come forward and share my knowledge with you all, he says.
It was truly my pleasure. Thank you so much for coming forward. It really feels good to have been able to hear from you that your life mission was to be your unique self, that you came here and you did it. And you literally sensed the end of your mission and knew when it was time to go. That just feels like a life well lived.
He says, I have no regrets and everything unfolded the way it was supposed to. So, yes, it was a great life to be lived.
I love it. Now, do you have any plans for a future incarnation that you want to share with us before you go?
He says, well, I have a life at this moment, actually.
Was this a parallel
It
life?
just, no, he says it just started.
Okay.
I'm still in my little baby outfit, he says. Very cute. I really am, but I've always been cute, he says.
That's true. You are
um,
adorable.
he says, but this will be a life of simplicity and unity. So it's all going to be about um, finding love in myself, and it's going to be about sharing that with others. And I'll become a teacher. He says a spiritual teacher in the future. So I'm all about peace, peace, love, and understanding, and about finding enlightenment in this journey.
I love that. Are you male or female? Do you want to say where you are?
I am female, and I am in Indonesia right now.
I love it. Well, bless your heart.
He's saying thank you. We love you.
Love you too, Prince. Good night, sweet Prince. And we're going to say goodbye to everybody. Don't forget to check out our website, www.adamsgift.net, and Emmanuel's website at www.emmanuelmacintosh.com. Bye, folks. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Love you. Bye.